A jury in St. Louis ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay $4.16 billion in punitive damages and $550 million in compensatory damages to 22 women who claimed that asbestos in the company's talc baby powder caused their ovarian cancer. Now, it was just in the latest in a years-long legal battle for the company over one of its most iconic brands. And J&J faces more than 9,000 similar lawsuits. The company makes both talc-based and cornstarch-based baby powder. And while the American Cancer Society notes natural talc can contain asbestos, talc products that consumers use in the home have been asbestos-free since the 1970s. Now, J&J disputes the claims in the suit and plans to appeal, and it has successfully overturned a number of talc verdicts. In the St. Louis case, the plaintiff's attorney argued J&J should put a warning label on talc or discontinue the product. We talked this morning with one of J&J's lead attorneys about that.
Johnson & Johnson doesn't believe in putting warnings on a product, a cancer warning on a product that doesn't cause cancer.
So there you have it, guys. And Bart Williams, we should say, is one of the lead attorneys. He was not the one who argued this case in St. Louis. They have multiple teams on this because there are so many cases.
I mean, if they got rid of the talc powder, that would sort of be tantamount to admitting that there was something wrong with it, right?
Right, that is one argument.
When you're in the midst of all this litigation, you don't want to be doing that.
And that's what he said this morning. He said Johnson & Johnson doesn't feel that they should withdraw a product that's perfectly safe.
Right, and they say all the agencies agree with them. When you do look at the American Cancer Society recommendations, the WHO, they say the data are more mixed. If there is a risk, it is probably very low. But these juries keep returning these verdicts.
Yeah.
Meg, thank you.
Thank you.
Terrell. Let's dig deeper into what this could mean for Johnson & Johnson stock. Joining us now is Vamil Divan. He's an analyst at Credit Suisse. Vamil, great to have you with us. What's the back of the envelope calculation in terms of the worst case scenario, in terms of litigation risk?
I mean, it's tough to even calculate the number. I mean, talking about 9,000 cases. If they're in the $4 billion range, the numbers get very, very large. I think speaking to investors, I think most people feel this judgment will be reduced or reversed. They've won on appeal in many of the other cases. So I don't think investors are overly concerned, but you see the stock is down today. People a little bit more concerned than they were yesterday, but it's tough to quantify just because the numbers could be incredibly large.
So the more than 9,000 cases out there, and those plaintiffs are alleging that this powder caused either ovarian cancer or mesothelioma. Is there a feel on your part in the analyst community as to which cases Johnson & Johnson has a better shot at prevailing in?
I think in general, the talc cases in general, investors have been fairly confident. There's a number of different product liability cases that J&J and other pharmaceutical companies are facing. This is one, again, they've been successful with their appeals to date, so I don't think people are overly concerned. And then the amount of the damages and the fact they've been appealed and won keeps people fairly comfortable. I think today it's a little bit of a shock with the amount of that we're talking about here and what it could mean if we see more cases like that.
That's why I feel like I keep missing something here. When you've got that much litigation and when you have juries that consistently keep finding Johnson & Johnson at fault in this case, why aren't people more concerned about the future of this company? I mean, I realize that the talc-related products themselves as a percentage of the revenue for this company is pretty small.
Right.
But the litigation costs could be astronomical here, right?
And you have to wonder whether it would be better for them to be out of the headlines with some big settlement than to keep relitigating it and grabbing headlines every time, especially on consumer products.
That's exactly right. I think people have asked that, does it make sense to do a settlement? We've seen that on the mesh side and some of the other companies making settlements there. So would it be better to kind of come to a settlement and just get it out of the headlines? I think probably not a bad idea, but I think they feel very confident. And again, until now, they've won all these on appeal, so there's nothing that they've actually had to pay. And so I think they remain confident. And until maybe we see cases like this, I don't think things change. I think they remain very confident that ultimately they'll prevail and don't want to pay these fines.
Johnson & Johnson reports on Tuesday. What are you expecting to see?
So yeah, we do expect a small beat. We're on the top line. We're, I think, about close to $1 billion above where consensus is. We're a penny above on the bottom line. Stock has obviously underperformed this year, so I think a lot of questions around what turns it around. Do we see some sort of defensive rotation in the pharma sector in general? Or if not that, I think it is the pharma business that's been driving the story, and they need to see these pharma products continue to drive it. But I think a lot of people are looking for more from consumer, which we've been talking about, and also medical devices. Those segments have not performed to the level that pharma has. And I think people hoping to, whether it's a deal, whether it's some other new assets that can kind of turn the story around. There's a bit of change in management, new CFO, new leadership team coming together. We'll see if there's a different tone, different strategy on Tuesday to get people rejuvenated. I think right now people are looking for reasons to buy the name aside from just that it's a defensive nature, especially when you hear cases like this that call into question some of that defensiveness.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.